Great to catch up again for another one of our catch ups. Looking back over the last few weeks, and we're catching up obviously a day after we exited the Velocity Cup. Just talk us through last night before we get on to kind of general
Yeah,
squad update.
yeah. I mean, last night was a fixture that I put in. Wasn't a fixture that I believe that we may have entered or not, but I decided to enter it based on the fact of I wanted to give squad members minutes that weren't involved or haven't been involved in the first team starting 11 for a little while. It was good to give people minutes for fitness levels. Obviously, the result went against us, but I wasn't really looking at that as much. It would have been good if we would have won, but we never, obviously. But it wasn't a bad performance, but it was good to see people get minutes, and some of them done well.
Moving on, then we'll talk about departures first and foremost. Obviously, in the last couple of weeks, we've lost Mamadou Diallo and obviously Elliot Romain, who chose to move on. Both chose to move on to pastures. Now, just talk us through those two and their departures, and I suppose their impact on the squad this season.
Mamadou Diallo was always a work in progress. He's a good player. He's a talent. It was agreed that he would go and get some vital experience and then come back. But unfortunately, the team that he went to is at the level or in the same competition as us, but a lower level. So it's the same sort of league status. So we had to cancel his registration. We're still in contact and we'll see how that develops. And we wish him all the best. And with Elliot Romain, who is a proven player at the level and above, it just didn't really work out for him. He had a long distance to travel to get to the games. You know, it was over an hour and a half, 2 hours for him to get to Dulwich, and it was stop-start for him, and he was injured quite a bit, and he came in late. But there's no hard feelings there. It was a mutual agreement, and we move on, and we wish him all the best. You know, I hope he does well wherever he goes, like Mamadou does.
Moving on then to arrivals. Obviously, last week before the game against Haringey, we announced the signing of Josh Sonibert. Just talk us through that one.
Yeah, Josh Sonibert is someone of some credentials and good calibre. Obviously, he started at Derby County, and he moved on from there to two or three other places. And at the back end of last season in the National League, he represented my old club, Maidstone, where I believe he done very, very well. I think he scored 6 goals for him in the National League. He's quick, he's versatile. But more importantly, after speaking with his representations and people that help him, it was made clear to me that he'd want to come to Dulwich. He doesn't live far from the ground. And we want to see how it develops between us, both parties. He's a good prospect. He's got plenty of pace. If anyone knows the way my teams usually play, I love pace. There's no substitute for pace. And with the blessing of the club, we made that happen. So he's in for a short time with us, and we'll see how it goes. But he's an exceptional talent as well, and he would definitely enhance the squad.
Moving on then to current players who've been here for a while. We'll talk goalkeepers. Obviously, we've still got 4 goalkeepers in our books. Preston Edwards is now featured in a couple of games, and Will has obviously been starting in the league. Just talk us then through Jack Ruddy and Raven as well.
Yeah, I mean, we made a conscious decision in when you do this business, when you're in this industry, you know, not every signing is going to work out, and not every signing is going to be the signing that you probably want. It might not be available to you at that precise moment in time. And, you know, we believed at the time that Jack was a good asset for us. He's done absolutely nothing wrong, like I said in my last interview. And, you know, the others will be ahead of him right now, and he understands and he knows that. And we'll try and help him get fixed up as quickly as possible. We brought in Preston Edwards to the club because he's a big cult hero of the club. He's got a big presence. He's a big personality. He's a man. And obviously at that particular time, Raven Constable, who I rate quite highly, was injured and he broke his finger. So it was a decision that we had to make. And I brought in Will Larking and I brought in Preston. and obviously now there's Raven and Jack, but three of them have got to fight for that place. Raven hasn't featured yet, but I can assure you Raven's quite a good goalkeeper, but we have to make decisions. We have to make decisions. And like I said, when we get involved in this industry, it's a process. Sometimes you make decisions that are not favourable for others. Sometimes you make decisions that are favourable for them. And at this moment in time, Jack's, further down the pecking order. But, hopefully we can have a look at Raven at some point as well. But Will's done well, and he's coming in, he's done well. He's enthusiastic, he's hungry, he's young, he wants to develop, wants to do well, and he's done well for the football club. And I maintain what I said. Jack Ruddy, personally, he hasn't done anything personally wrong. It's just not the right fit for us. We don't believe that at the time when he played that he could. It was a difficult situation, and decisions, like I said, have to be made, and we made a decision based on what we saw, and that's why we bought him. He's a great lad, Jack Ruddy. There's no issues with him whatsoever. But football being football, like we said, you've got to make decisions.
Moving on into another face that's certainly is around all the time, but just hasn't featured, Richard Pingling. I know he's been slightly out injured, isn't he? But
he's been injured. Another young talent got released very early in his career from a professional club, but he's been injured and he's been in and out, and he came back. He got injured again. So because of this injury, it's holding him back. I do believe that he had a very old injury where he's got a plate in his ankle, and I think that's flared up a little bit again. So he's going to be work in progress, and he has to work with the physio department. And our physio departments are really good, because any player that gets injured at our football club can go and see any one of certain amount of clinics during the week on a daily basis to make sure they get assessed, make sure they get the right medical attention, make sure they're ready for selection. So, but Richard is a little bit away off that at the moment. So we'll see how it goes when he's working closely with Sid.
We'll also touch then on a couple of other players. Dwight Pascal has returned to action over the past 2 games. How impressed have you been with how he's gone about himself against Haringey and last night?
Been easy, he's come in. I think he had a steady game against Haringey. I really do. I think he can improve. I think the key for him now is to get his head down, knuckle down, just work as hard as he possibly can on his fitness, his endurance, his communication with his teammates. And I'm hopeful that he'll turn out to be okay. So he's been given an opportunity. It's up to him to take it now.
Moving on then to the rest of this month, obviously this weekend, a big game against Margate, and then at home to Folkestone before visiting Cray Wanderers, and then Potters Bar at the end of the month. It's a big kind of 4 games for us, isn't it, as we head in towards the festive period?
Now, we haven't lost in the last 4 league games. I know some people may have looked from afar and probably thought, Haringey being where they are and where we are, we should have won. But I can assure you, going to Haringey is not an easy place to go. I know teams have gone in there and they've scored at the last minute to win, and Haringey always fight, and they scored again in the last minute yesterday to get a point against Margate. So tough as it is, I actually do believe it was a good point. Did we play as well as what we could have done? No. But for me, now it's about consistency and building up that consistency in the league. And if anyone would have said to me, would you take the point? I would have said, yeah, I'll take it. Did we play as well as what we could have? No, we didn't. But in patches we did. But going there and getting a point was a good point for us on the road. And, there's an old cliche, and we're not in that position. Let me remind people again. You draw your games away and you win at home, you're going to win the league. We're nowhere near that at the moment, but we're work in progress. And for 4 games now unbeaten in the league, we need to make that 5, 6 and 7.
And then moving ahead and away from the men's team, it's a big weekend for the football club in general. See the women at home to London Bees. How exciting is that?
And I'm so proud of every single one of them that's involved. They're playing London Bees, 2 leagues higher in the FA Cup. The upset could be on. I know our management team and our coaching team have done ever so well, and they're working so hard with all these guys, and I'm pretty sure that they'll make the shirt proud when they play this week.
Perfect, Hack. Thank you for jumping on board with me, and I'll see you Saturday.
Cheers.